in social good stage. My name is Keisha Mitchell, and I will be sharing with you all a little bit about F3, which is Funding Female Founders, the lovely organization bringing this to you today. And we are just, first of all, I have to say, so honored and excited to be here amongst all this inspiration, imagination, and innovation. And I have a little bit about us via our mission that I would like to share with you in the form of reading our manifesto. So I will get started, and here we go. It is entitled Rebirthing the Matriarchy, and it was written by me. Shall I start by telling you the story of a past where mother was synonymous with God, and to be female was to be an intrinsic part of the divine. Of a time when women spoke and nations sat down to listen, and when giving birth held the same esteem and the same sacrifice as dying in battle. When women were seen when women were seen not as separate from a society's success, but the encouragement and inclusion, a foundational feature of it. Thank you. Or maybe I should begin instead by sharing with you a vision of the future where to be woman is to be whole. Spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially, and professionally. Where to be woman is to be liberated from structures that suffocate, and instead is to be empowered to become the leader of the creation of systems that serve her and in turn the world around her. And where to be woman is ultimately to be safe and empowered to be whoever and whatever you want to be. But perhaps it's always better, however, to begin with the now, because this is where the F3 organization was born. Now is a time and a space where the paradox of having female identity feels to be at a breaking point. A time and space where women are passively acknowledged in the halls of institutions and isms that keep us at an arm's length away from real sustainable change and refuse to actively engage us in conversations at their tables. In a capitalist world, the truth of that world will be found most crystallized in the economic standing of the different demographics that call that world home. And in the Western world, the truth is that out of all venture capital funding distributed annually, only 3% ever reaches women-led or founded startup enterprises or small businesses. This is the problem that F3 Ventures was born to solve. With an original mission of funding female founders, the F3 organization pushed through the ether as a defiant fuck you to people who stand and continue to stand in the way of economic empowerment and social equity for female founders. The problem of social and financial inequity exists in the now, and we, the women of F3, were unwilling to wait any longer and be denied what we can certainly take for ourselves today. This revelation quickly created an awareness that the need and path to social and financial equity for women was much wider than just the lane of venture capital, and goes on to include the incubation and support of developers, engineers, investors, and people who are aligned with our vision of a future. This realization gave birth to the F3 Foundation, the community outreach and nonprofit arm of the organization, and first sister to F3 Ventures. However, to become a venture capital firm and community incubator isn't enough. We realize that the blessing of blockchain technology is the palpable and tangible potentiality it provides, the way it lends itself to dreaming and thinking bigger. And bigger for us is not just playing by the stale rules of the dusty board game that is capitalism, but using tokenomics and blockchain technology to create our own financial instruments and ultimately our own utilities of liberation. And this was the spawning of F3 Labs, our female-led and staff firm that is working to actualize a new way to engage with currency in developing innovative ways that the world of blockchain can truly become a safe haven for all. We operate and govern ourselves on a simple set of core values: equity, empowerment, care, trust, inclusion, growth, and responsibility. And this is because as millennials, Gen Zers, children of immigrants, women of color, many of us have only known a world that is operating with a scarcity of these things. Many of us have been personally affected and on the front lines of the multi-generational economic, social, and cultural wars started on our communities by men that did not look like us, however, gifted us the chaos and strife of their wildest dreams as inherited nightmares for our communities nonetheless. F3 is our reconstruction, it is our reconciliation, it is our rehabilitation, it is our incremental and strategic attack on patriarchy and supremacy. It is our declaration of war against the matrix of social injustice. It is a safe place, it's our haven, it's our home, and it is our rebirth as individuals, as sisters, and as community. It is our reclamation, regeneration, cultural restart, and the way that we choose to rebuild the matriarchy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And on that note, I would love to keep this conversation and introduce you all and bring up a few women that have been very, very real examples and proponents of this change that I spoke about. Ladies, would y'all like to come and join me on stage, please?
Let's go, Val! Let's go, Cynthia!
All right. Are you guys' microphones start doing?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for reading that beautiful manifesto. My name is Valerie Song, and I'll be a loose moderator for this panel here. I'm so excited to present and have everybody introduce themselves and share their story about what rebirthing the matriarchy means to you. Cynthia, why don't you get started?
Sure. Thanks everyone for being here. I love seeing all the support for rebuilding the matriarchy. My name is Cynthia. I'm the CEO of DTravel, which is a Web3 powered travel ecosystem. I've been in Web3 since 2017, and I'm so thrilled to see so many women enter into Web3. I know like some of my homies are here, so just like really thrilled to see everybody.
Hey everyone, my name is Sydney Lai, and I'm a developer advocate at Magic. I'm really happy to be here, and I'd like to thank everyone, men, women, and others. Thank you so much for joining.
Yes. And you guys met me. My name is Keisha. It's a pleasure to be here with you all as well. Yes.
Awesome. So the first question is, how would you define what rebirthing the matriarchy is, maybe from your own individual journeys on how you got to DTravel, how you got to Magic, how you got to F3 Foundation?
To me, rebuilding the matriarchy is not really just about women. It's about creating a world with more equality. Web3 really is a promise for diversity, for inclusion, for accessibility. And I think this kind of utopia that we all see is what we're all trying to work towards. And rebuilding the matriarchy is about having a place for everybody, not just for women, not just for men, but how do we rebuild it from the ground up so that we are leading with empathy and love, and treating every human being with kindness and respect, and then showing up in the world the way that we want. And I think that there's so much toxicity in the world today. There's so much division, especially in some countries, and we need more and more people to show up and like be kind, be loving. And I think that's what we're trying to build in Web3 is how do we create this world that doesn't exist today to bring more equality and justice and really bring everybody in the world up, not just people in like first world countries, because it's like the saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. And the more that we as people can connect together and help each other and love each other instead of feeling like we're so different, then I think we are going to be living this beautiful world that doesn't exist today. And that's really my hope for rebuilding the matriarchy.
So for me, I am a woman, I am Asian, and I'm queer. And I never understood why diversity mattered. I didn't get it. I didn't think it really mattered until I organized a hackathon. I organized a hackathon for the Latino community in the Bay Area. And when they started pitching, when they started demoing at the end of the hackathon, about 50% of the founders were women. And I've never seen that before. I've been volunteering for 7 years. I've hosted 13 hackathons. I've never seen a hackathon with 50% women. And the ideas that they come up with, I've never seen before. I didn't know there was a market that existed for that. And at that moment, I realized why diversity mattered, because you can have ideas and perspectives and contributions from a place that you yourself wouldn't even experience no matter how diverse you are. So why does rebuilding the matriarchy, or why does diversity matter in the development of technology, is because it really showed to me how you can create different products and opportunities in the world. And just a fun fact, my family is Taiwanese. Taiwan is a matriarchy. Also, we also have a female president that has never been married before. I know, hot, right? And as Taiwanese women, we keep our last names.
Yes. And I think that for me, like rebirthing the matriarchy is just really comes down to the simple principle that once things are safe and cognizant of women, they're safe and cognizant of pretty much everybody else, you know? And realistically, there is a need for balance, right? But we don't seek to like paint the patriarchy in pink, right? Like rebirthing the matriarchy is not reimagining, you know, patriarchal systems or systems that have not served us in a more feminine way. It's really going back to ancestral roots of what women have always been for their communities, no matter where those communities may have been, and thinking about how to integrate that into a modern context, again, just to make the world a better place, you know? So I think that that's for me what that means.
I love that. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing. And I know each and every one of you has such a unique and personal story to how you got to this realization, how you got to your work. So I'm wondering if you can share with the audience a little bit about your background and what led you to where you are today.
Yeah, sure. So it's really, I just tell people now, like I just took a 13-year-long walk. Essentially, my background is in journalism and publishing. I own my own publishing company. I'm a journalist by craft and by trade. And through that, I kind of like started doing graphic design and like all these layouts and taking on clients. And I became really interested in what made these CMSs possible, like what was behind a Wix or what's creating the tools that I'm utilizing to be able to help others. And that was kind of like my foray into Web 2. And then through that, after graduating boot camp during COVID and quarantine, I was able to get onto Twitter and use that as a real resource to kind of like help people find, you know, where my niche was at. And through that, I started working at Ledger as their corporate journalist. But because I had this background in both communication and linguistics, but also this engineering understanding, they thought that it would be really great to like kind of help me galvanize the, you know, more of the American market. And so really through working for Ledger, I was able to really start to go from really Canada and Mexico, which is how I met my F3 family and friends.
Mexico?
Yeah, all the way down, the
Let's
whole continent.
go.
Yeah, the continent. And just talk to people about Web3, you know, help get in, you know, disenfranchised communities or maybe communities that were being looked over, which of course for my identity meant like black women and women in general, and black people. And from that, like we've just really been able to take it so far in terms of like the F3 Foundation as an American events endowment that kind of like helps women through crowdsourcing that happens at events, get into tech, fund other, you know, like initiatives. And so really it's just kind of been like an exponential growth, right? Like once you kind of put your head first into the water, you just really become a part of the pool, honestly.
Keisha, I would also love to dovetail your point of entering Web3 coming from different markets. One of the ways I got into Web3 was I used to work in private wealth. And I'd like to also relate this back to the matriarchy. So when I was working in private wealth, as you can imagine, when you're investing in institutional assets, it's a pretty male-dominated space. And one of the things that I learned when I was working for a Swiss bank was in our Asia and APAC regions, specifically banks coming from China, a lot of the investment managers were, again, half and half women. And I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
And I asked, you know, why at this bank the ratio is so skewed, and why are these banks, you know, why is it 50% women? So there's two reasons. One, in a 30-year study done, is that women actually outperform in investing in institutional funds. Yeah. Listen, we gotta manage the money, right? And then number two, again, politics aside, there was communism in China, right? And one factor was you have to have equal participation on both sides. And so they did that in the workforce as well. And so that tradition still holds to this day, especially in the institutionalized investment funds. So just something to share.
Yes.
That's awesome. I love that. I think for me, one of the things that has always stood out is this concept of mentorship versus sponsorship. And to me, actions speak so much louder than words. We can say whatever we want, but at the end of the day, if you don't show up, then you're not showing your support. And as women, we don't get enough sponsorship. We get mentorship, sure. Everybody talks about how we need to support women. But when someone says, hey, who can you recommend for this project? I'm looking for an amazing project to back. I need to promote somebody. Are you standing up and saying, hey, I know this amazing woman, And I think that you should absolutely do that. And it's not just men. Like, we as women, we're so afraid to recommend someone else because we don't want to be held liable. And that's why I love organizations and communities like F3, because they're actually showing up and saying, we're here to support you. We're going to give you money. We're going to give you funding. We're going to give you support. And personally, for me, like, I think anybody who knows me knows that I love to show up for other people by connecting people together. And I'm always thinking, like, if you're looking for something, how can I help you? I don't want anything out of it. I just want to be able to support you however I can. So if you're looking for a job, or if I know that someone is saying, hey, I'm looking for somebody who has a speaking opportunity, I'm going to be like, I'm going to recommend this person. You should go talk to them. And I think we all need to do that, whether we're male, female, binary, doesn't matter. We need to show up for each other as people, but also especially as women, because like in Web3, we don't have enough representation. And it's so, so, so important for somebody to be visible so that when we all look at someone else, we can say, I see myself there. And we don't see enough of that because like it's all men on crypto Twitter, right? It's like old white men.
Can I share something?
Yeah.
Okay. So I used to work at Consensus. Do you guys remember Consensus? I know, right? MetaMask, all that. So in 2018, I was a part of a team. There was about 32, 33 employees. I brought 7 of the employees on board to the token sale ICO team. Of the 7 people that we hired, that I brought on, 6 of them are women. And they thank you. But they asked why? How did you recruit any women? And I was just like, I don't know. I'm friends with girls.
You asked.
Just make
You
friends.
asked.
Like, just men make friends with girls. They're not. We don't have cooties. Like, they're fine. Even if you have like a partner, it's fine. They're called platonic girlfriends. Like, have them. And so there wasn't a recruiting trick. It wasn't like, I was just like, oh, I know that girl. She's a Solidity developer who has a major in mathematics. Like, she still audits. She's one of the best Solidity developers to this day, right? So like, just have friends who are female and hire them. That's it.
All right, everyone. So we're going to do something kind of fun. We have about 6 minutes left, and what we do here at F3 is we fund female founders. Are there any female founders, I know I see one, in the audience who would like to come up and share their business, what they're working on, a project? And hey, we have this event coming up. It's $10,000 to $30,000 per female founder. Sorry, up to $30,000 for 3 female founders. And this is coming up Fest in Atlanta in the end of this month. So come on up.
Big round of applause.
If you could please share your name and your anything with the audience, that'd be great. Thank you.
I'm losing my voice, so I hope you can hear me clearly. My name is Melap, and I am a Web3 educator, content creator, and copywriter. I am also the founder of Maternal Instinct NFT, which is an NFT that is focused on raising maternal health awareness and creating a support system for mothers and their support systems to be able to carry them through their journey from reproduction to empty nest syndrome. And I am working on building a DAO. So I launched my project at the beginning of last year in January. It was a success to me. I was shocked by what happened and the reception that was there. However, halfway through the year, my project got hit with a wallet drainer, and all the funds that we had made, essentially, we didn't have them anymore. And to be honest, I kind of fell into a little pit of shame because I felt like, I'd failed my holders. But then I remembered, like, I'm here to do something for mothers like me who have struggled through things like postpartum depression and living through traumas while trying to raise children and trying to keep them from having those traumas. And a lot of the times they don't have the right support. And so if they can be given emotional, spiritual, physical, financial, and mental well-being, then they can be the mothers raising the next generation of tech baddies that are gonna change the world. And so that's what I'm working on.
Wow. Thank you so much. And go ahead. Yeah. And I just wanted to call out that at F3, we have this kind of investment thesis that women really care about regeneration, diversity and inclusion, as well as education. So clearly we have women in the audience who are contributing to these things. Would anyone else like to come up and share? We might be able to accommodate 1 or 2. Yeah, come on up. No, go ahead.
Okay, we gotta call out this amazing outfit here.
That's how we just met. We became friends, right? That's how we become friends with women. We say hello. And I just want to say, like, shout out to everyone up here. I literally could cry because the things that you're saying are so touching and so true to my heart and my priorities and why I'm here. It's important to show up, right? And like, ETH Denver was the first crypto conference I ever came to last year, dived down the rabbit hole, and was so inspired by a ton of great things, but also taking a picture where it was 42 men and 1 woman in the room last year, which it's a lot different now. I'm happy for that. But yes, I am a founder of a Web3 conference and festival that was inspired by my trip here last year. We're in New Orleans. We're called Fresh Mint Fest, and it's in October. And we focus on music, gaming, art, and impact. So I want to talk about impact for 1 second. Super important that the communities that are here look like the world that I live in every day, right? So in New Orleans, we have a super diverse community. And I want to talk, and like, I'm building a platform to make sure that everything that Web3 enables, it should be enabling better solutions for our world, right? And our communities should have access to those resources. Also, super important is that, sorry, I'm like nervous. I don't know why. But also what's important, and I come from an architecture background and sustainable design and building. A female architect told me one time, have you ever noticed that there's a long line to the women's bathrooms? And I said, yeah. And she said, why? And I'm like, this is a test. And she said, because women weren't at the table when these buildings were being designed. And so if we are gonna be designing the next world, it is incredibly important that all voices are present at the table during the design phase, because that greatly like influences the output more so than retroactively trying to figure out why it doesn't serve the people it's supposed to be solving for. So, so anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go now.
Thank you.
But I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy we connected, you guys. And yeah, I hope to see y'all in New Orleans, and y'all better be going to ATL. I know y'all are in Canada as well, right?
Yeah.
I just looked up tickets. I gotta come say hello.
You
so.
better shamelessly plug us. Yes, that's what I love to see. See? Yes. Yes.
Thank you so, so much. And clearly, there's so much amazing talent in the audience. If you have been thinking about getting funding for your business, please, please, please check out our website, apply to pitch. We will give travel credit and accommodation for people who are coming. So please check it out and apply.
Yes, and just before we go, don't forget March 31st to April 2nd. For anybody that will be in Atlanta, like to come to Atlanta, or just check us out virtually, we will be hosting the Women in Web3 conference. We have a lot of the sponsors and guys you see here, Consensus, Optimism, Shapeshift, so on and so forth. We have a lot of resources, a job fair. We're really about what we say we're about. So please come and, benefit from that, please.
Thank you, everybody.